Hello everybody, my name is Michael Bullen and today we're going to be going over green energy scams. These are scams that use green energy and false advertising to bait people into investing in them. Many of these projects are physically impossible or just flat out a bad idea, and we will be diving into some of the more popular ones. Some you may have even seen before. Now we can't talk about these scams without first talking about Indiegogo. Indiegogo is a crowdfunding platform where anyone can pitch their product to the public. A lot of these projects use perks to incentivize people into investing in them, such as a special shout out in the credits or even getting a copy of the product at the end of development. In this article from The Verge, which is linked in the description below, we can see that 80% of Indiegogo projects fail to raise a quarter of their goal. This is due to the fact, quote, Kickstarter also screens campaigns, rejecting the chaff and projects that don't meet its strict guidelines, while Indiegogo has much looser rules and its creators can post their projects right away, so it picks up a lot of poorly designed projects that are doomed from the start. Because of such relaxed regulations, the website sees a flood of projects with green energy involved in them. Some of the projects do have some potential, but again, most of them are doomed to fail just because of how weird or niche the idea is. However, every once in a while we see a project that looks like it's going to be a game changer, something that's going to change the world for the better. It'll be a project that'll raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even millions. But then, after development and the further the project goes, it turns out it's just a scam. A lot of these scams are hosted on Indiegogo because of their infamously bad refund policy. As you can see here, as long as the owner of the project gets the money, they can keep it. And the only way that Indiegogo can force them to give them the money back is if they never come up with a prototype. So, a common theme is we see some hilariously bad prototypes, which we will go into. So, let's get started and get into the first example, V3 spinning solar cells. Let's take apart this first claim. This cone shape is not more efficient than a flat cell. This idea makes it so you're never getting any direct sunlight on the panels, which, if you didn't know, is vital to energy generation. You can even see the back half of this cone isn't getting any sunlight at all. As I previously explained, you're never going to be getting maximum exposure because of the angles here. As you can even see in this frame, as long as the sun isn't directly overhead, the back half of your panel is never going to get direct sunlight, and the spinning is meaningless. They barely comment on how much energy you need to spin this. If you didn't know, solar panels are heavy, and their claim is that they only need 1 amp of power to spin them, which is a meaningless measurement. 1 amp could be 1 watt over 1 volt, or 100 watts over 100 volts. So saying that you only need 1 amp to spin this doesn't tell us at all how much energy we need. In the past 10 years, we have seen real solar panels go from about 15% efficiency to now around 20% efficiency. So claiming that these panels generate 20 times more electricity is completely absurd. If they truly did generate 20 times more electricity, they would be breaking the laws of physics. This is what the V3 solar website looks like today, and what it's looked like for the past 6 years. Their website has been down since 2014 after raising an unknown amount of money through their website and through an Indiegogo page that I can no longer find. Let me just add that that last video is the only working prototype we have ever seen, and we'll never know if it actually worked or not because it was just something spinning. We've never seen any data or anything come from them because of the scam-like nature of it. With that out of the way, let's get into our next most egregious example, solar freakin' roadways.
solar freaking roadways.
What are they?
They're solar freaking roadways.
What do they want from me?
Well, they're solar freaking roadways. Okay, so actually this time, what is it? It's technology that replaces all roadways, parking lots, sidewalks, driveways, tarmacs, bike paths, and outdoor recreation surfaces with solar panels.
While it can be argued whether solar roadways is truly a scam or not, it cannot be denied that this is just flat out a terrible idea. There are so many problems with this project, and I can't get into all of them in this video. So please refer to my essay linked below if you want to read more about it. But to be concise, we'll just go over a few points. If you were unaware, Solar Roadways is one of the most backed projects on Indiegogo, raising a whopping $2 million and then some. Its goal is to replace all roadways with solar panels. Let's dive into some of the reasons why this is an absolutely terrible idea. Let's talk about angles for a second. Solar panels have a very specific angle and direction that they have to face to achieve peak efficiency. A solar panel must be angled facing the sun and at about an angle of 15 degrees depending on where you live. Without these two things, you're already going to lose somewhere between 30 and 40% of your efficiency. Let's look at another feature that this company says their magic solar panels can do.
For those in the north, the panels use energy they collect to power elements to keep the surface temperature a few degrees above freezing. They're heated. No more ice and snow on roads causing traffic delays, accidents, and injury. No more shoveling your driveway and sidewalk. No salt corroding your car or wasting tax money on snow removal. And you can ride your bike or drive your motorcycle all year round.
Whoa.
Well, this is certainly a cool idea. There is one little flaw in the logic that they have. How are the solar panels going to generate energy if they're covered in snow, like pictured above? Well, they did have a solution to this problem, but it was not a very great one. Their solar panels are actually hooked up to the grid to power the heating and the lighting, and it turns out that they really end up using a lot more energy than they produce. Why don't we take a look at how these solar panels are doing today? There was a prototype installed in Sandpoint, Idaho, and you can watch it live and also see the energy production live. Let's look at it. Now, here's the website for Sandpoint, Ohio. We can see here a live stream of the solar panels in action. You can kind of see the dirt and grime that's built up on them, and while people walk over it and stuff, which is inevitable. This is actually the second time they've installed them here. The first time they installed these panels in Sandpoint, Ohio, they broke almost immediately. And these are their second go at the prototype. I think they're the S4 panel. But anyway, in addition to watching a live stream of the panels, we can also look at a live stream of the energy production. So here we can see how much energy it's generating right now. A whopping 0. And you can see how pitiful these numbers are at the top. A similar product was put in France called the Wattway. It was about a half a mile of solar panel roads, and this is what the roads looked like 2 years after being put in. The main problem with this idea is it's almost impossible to make a material that's perfect for solar panels and perfect for cars. I find this idea particularly stupid because it's not like we have any need of room for solar panels. We have plenty of space on roofs. Now let's move into my last example, the Waterseer. This is probably my favorite one. So let's hop right into the video.
What if there was an inexpensive solution that would allow people to collect clean, safe water where they live, directly from the air around them? Waterseer uses the environment around it to extract water from the atmosphere. Here's how it works. The Waterseer device is planted about 6 or more feet into the ground, and the dirt from the hole is tightly repacked around the device. The metal sides of the underground chamber are cooled by the surrounding soil. Wind spins a helical turbine, which in turn spins internal fan blades that direct air into a condensation chamber. As the warmer air cools in the chamber, the water vapor condenses onto the sides.
Okay, While this is a cool idea, it certainly isn't very practical in the way they'd want to use it. They would want to use this in an arid area like this. Let's say that it's 90 degrees outside with a relative humidity of 30%. That means the dew point would be 54 degrees, which means when the air cools to 54 degrees, the air would be oversaturated with water and it would deposit. But the ground isn't going to be 35 degrees cooler. Even if you had the perfect conditions, air at 90 degrees can hold about a maximum of 30 grams of water. You would need to pump an absurd amount of air through these devices to get the amount of water they say they would get out of them. Let's take a look at Waterseer's Indiegogo page today. So here we are at the Waterseer page. You can see that they raised $337,000. And one thing that you notice almost immediately is that the design is completely different than the original design. It no longer runs on green energy, and it no longer goes in the ground anymore, which is interesting. And you can see the design is just completely different. If we look at the comments on this page, we can see all these people who are very unsatisfied with the product. They were promised a product and never received one. Still waiting for my perks. Invested in 2016 or 17. Haven't heard or seen a thing from this company. Has anyone considered a class action lawsuit? I know it's a scam and all, but can we really stop and appreciate for a moment that they literally took a Walmart dehumidifier and put a plastic shell over it? Huh. So they just took a dehumidifier and put a plastic shell over it. Well, if we look here on the Amazon page, you can see the exact dehumidifier that they use for this thing. There's the front-facing panel on the Amazon $200 dehumidifier, and here's what the dehumidifier looks for the Waterseer. If that's not enough for you, here is the panels on both the dehumidifiers side by side to each other. They literally just took a $200 dehumidifier and put it in a tube that said Waterseer. Now, I want to leave off this video with a positive note. I think solar energy and green energy in general is the future. I think we just need to realize it. We have to wake up that we're already sitting on all this technology. I think we live in a world where we have too much emphasis on inventing the next big thing when the next big thing is already here. So, instead of spending your money on Indiegogo, look into getting some solar panels on your house. Thank you so much for coming and watching my video. Sorry I have to cut it a little short as I'm going over the time. If you want to look at the more nitty-gritty math parts of this, please take a look at my essay. It's linked in the description below. And thank you for watching.